Hi guys, welcome back to Milmo Wood. This week I'm going to be making a coffee dripper. I've already made a couple of trials, and for those that don't know what a coffee dripper is, and you get a single cup or a multiple cup filter, sits on the top, put the cup underneath. I'm sure you've seen these on YouTube. This is where I've got my ideas from. Put the hot water in and the coffee filters through into the cup on the bottom. I've done a few trials, like I say, so this is the first attempt where I've glued the sides on and used splines to support the sides. I then progressed to a slightly different one, checking a few ideas out online on YouTube, and this one we have a rebate in to allow the shelf, if you like, to sit into it. This is the one that I've ended up with, and today I'm going to try and repeat this. So in order to repeat it and duplicate it, I made some templates out of plywood, some scrap plywood, different sizes as it happens. So this is 3/4, I think this is 12mm plywood, 3/4 being 19mm, I think. Top shelf, base shelf, side. Obviously cut two of these out. So I've made those, the ones that I've shown you, out different types of wood, and excuse me, today I'm going to attempt to make one out of the remains of an oak tabletop, a drop down table. Got this wood quite some time ago, been making a few things out of it. It was only the the drop down sides that we had. It's going to be a bit too thick, so I need to plane it down, get it to the right thickness, put the templates on it, and use a router to try and get them accurate. Let's see if it works. Hopefully it will, and I'll be able to post a video. And even more so, if the channel's for you, please subscribe. It's a very small channel, like I say, and maybe ask your friends, and if they like this sort of thing, they could subscribe too. And who knows, together, I'm a weekend woodworker, I've got a permanent full-time job. This is just a hobby for me, and I'm trying to learn, and perhaps we could learn together and make some beautiful things. Enjoy the video, that's the most important thing. Okay, so let's get started. Let's trim some wood. So I don't want to plane the whole length of wood down to the thickness I want, which is going to be 12mm, I believe. So I'm just going to see how the templates fit on. I've cut the wood down to size. Let's get it in the planer thicknesser. So I finished planing the wood to thickness. I got my gauge set to 0 and measure it. Slightly over 12mm. It was 12mm I was after. After a bit of sanding, that will come down to 12mm. And the reason I want to pick 12mm is that's the router bit that I've got for creating the rabbet or the rebate to accept the shelf. So now to stick the templates on. What's become really obvious to me to begin with is I only cut one side because I thought you'd just take her off and repeat it. But what I may do is cut another template so I can cut them all at the same time, rather than trying to recut one after I've done all the rest. So I'm going to stick these down with some carpet tape, or double-sided tape. maximise the oak that I'm using. And then I'm going to rough cut this on the bandsaw. So there we go, all the templates cut. Ready to go. What I need to do though is drill a hole in the centre of this one, again so I can route it to the template. Well, for the life of me I can't think what these are called. I'm sure someone would put it in the comments for me or email me and let me know. So I'm just going to drill the centre out and then leave some with the oak there, which can be routed to the template. So let's get on with that. What I will do though is I'll drill through this side first, about halfway, and then flip it over and use the drill hole to drill from this side, and that way we won't break through the wood and splinter anything. So there's the hole that the drill bit's created. I use the same hole now from the opposite side of the wood. There we go. So I just need to route for that now. Take the plug out. So I've put my router bit in. I've set the height with the bearing. The bearing will hit the template and the cutter will cut through the oak, and we'll just completely repeat the template. Need to do that on all the parts, but always remembering to follow the direction, because if I try to come the opposite way, there will be there will be an issue. So let's try and do that and see where we get. Okay, so I've had a little accident on the router, nothing too dramatic. On the first examples that I was showing you at the start of the video, I've actually made this section out of 3 pieces of wood with the long grain. So bottom long grain, top long grain, and then the long grain coming up, and join them together. I thought with it being oak, it'd be alright to try and do it in one piece and save the extra activity in doing that. But unfortunately I had a bit of a kick on the router, and this section has split across the joint there on the shorter part of the grain. So for now I've taken the template off, I've applied some wood glue to it, put a clamp on it, going to leave this for a couple of hours, come back and finish routering. Part of the logic of making it as one piece is there's no real weight in this. We're just talking about the water of 1 cup, so I thought it would be sufficient, and I'm sure it will be. I didn't have the kit back on a router. I'm sure there wouldn't be a problem. But as you can see, I've taken this one off the template. It's looking good. I need to put a rebate in, finish sanding the top section with the centre hole, come off exactly how I wanted it, and the bottom section exactly the same. So overall, I'm really pleased with the template process. It's worked really quickly. It's the first time that I've kind of made a whole piece with a template. Really, I've made one item previously and I've got the template on the wall, but not in the same kind of fashion as this one. Nicely made, just needs finishing off now, a bit of sanding. I'm thinking possibly rounding the edges off, but I do quite like the sharp edge on these. We'll see where we go later in the video. So I fixed the side piece that I'd cracked, and I've routed that on the template. So we've got the two sides, top and bottom. Now what we need to do is put a rebate in for the top shelf to slot into and for the bottom shelf to slot into. Got this down to 12mm. I've got a 12mm bit which I'll fit into the router to do that. So I've set my rebate cutter into the router table at the correct height. I've run a test piece through to see whether the cut's good enough for what I require. I must have mismeasured the blade. It's slightly too large really. But I think once the items are glued and put in place, it's probably just enough for sufficient glue to hold the wood in and to take up that space, to be honest. So I'm happy with it. I'm going to continue. The cut's really good, the rebate's really good on the test piece. Now to do the sides. Oh no! I've done a very simple mistake. I've routed it on the wrong side. More haste, less speed. That's irritating. So in my haste, I routed the wrong side to what I'd planned to. But in my frustration, I thought, well, I'll just put it together to see what it looks like anyway. And do you know, I think I prefer it. I really do. So I think I'm going to stick with it because I wanted them to be different anyway. Yeah. I'm going to leave it like that and finish it off. Excellent. Okay, let's get some sanding done. So it's going to be a slightly different design to anticipated. Don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I've made the decision. I'm going to glue it together. So using waterproof glue, of course. So what I've ended up using is these corner clamps. I didn't think they'd go on, they're just about on, and I think that's pulled it straight. I'm just going to wipe some more excess glue off and leave that to dry as long as possible. Hope that the crack that that appeared in the side holds. Assuming it does, I won't have to remake side pieces or in fact scrap this one, and we'll be able to get on to finishing it. Finished assembly, sanded down. Now for finish, I'm using a Min-Max polyacrylic finish, which is a water-based finish. So completed the application of the finish. The woods come up really well, and once this gloss is over and the opaqueness goes away, I think it's going to look amazing. Let's see at the end of the video.